The ancient Egyptians, an intriguing civilization whose love of cats and bandages was surpassed only by their thirst for knowledge. But mystery still surrounds the level of sophistication the ancient Egyptians achieved. How technically advanced were they? Might they have possessed knowledge which was lost and which we've yet to rediscover today? Let's find out now, as we explore the mysterious things the Egyptians knew. At 3. Suspicious numbers. The ancient Egyptians were notoriously brilliant at mathematics, and we also believe that they were the first civilization to practice scientific endeavor on a widespread scale. But did they really know enough to enable them to build the Great Pyramid of Giza at the exact center of Earth's landmass? The largest Giza pyramid is located at the point where both the longest line of latitude and longitude intersect. The pyramid itself also faces true north, with just 3/60th of a degree of error. So how is this possible? Were the ancient Egyptians aware of this? Had they already traversed the globe millennia before the rest of mankind? Or is it a coincidence? It should be noted that these observations require the use of a Mercator projection map, which was only created in 1569 by a Flemish cartographer. But it is strange that such a significant landmark correlates with one of the most widely used maps of the past 500 years. The Mercator was developed using information provided by other ancient cartographers, and they in turn would have taken their measurements from even older maps and documents. So perhaps mankind has always seen the world in Mercator style, because it's entirely plausible that the ancient people of prehistory were fully aware of the American continent. And maybe this accepted knowledge of Earth's landmass influenced the positioning of the Great Pyramid of Giza. Who knows? But there's another interesting fact about the placement of the pyramid, which makes us believe the Egyptians definitely knew what they were doing. In 1919, Mason William Gallagher imagined what would happen if a cataclysmic event struck the Earth, say a flood or huge volcanic eruption. In these scenarios, he calculated which areas of the planet would survive, or at the very least, be the last ones to fall. Any guesses as to where the final location was? That's right, the Great Pyramid of Giza. At 2. The secrets of their ancestors. One of the most compelling theories about the ancient Egyptians concerns the link between the 3 largest pyramids of Giza and the constellation Orion. This constellation held particular significance among ancient Egyptians, as Orion was associated with the god of rebirth and afterlife, Osiris, and their connection was noted in 1983 by the Egyptian researcher Robert Bauval. He discovered that the layout of the Khufu, Khafre, and Menkaure pyramids matches almost exactly with the Al-Nitak, Al-Nilam, and Mintaka stars which comprise Orion's belt. And if you extend this further, you can use the Nile and several smaller pyramids to match the rest of Orion and the parts of the Milky Way. But there are a few problems with this hypothesis. Firstly, the pyramids don't represent the stars as we see them today. They represent how Orion appeared 10,000 years ago. But the Egyptians only began to explore astronomy 7,000 years ago, and current evidence indicates that the Giza pyramids were constructed 5,000 years ago. So what gives? Well, according to Robert, the pyramids we know today were not the originals. They were built upon the site of older buildings of equal mathematical and astronomical importance. Bauval goes on to claim that these buildings were constructed by a more advanced civilization which existed before the Egyptians, and possibly even before the ancient Sumerians. who were thought to be the very first society of civilized humans. Beauval's theory states that this civilization influenced the refined cultures of antiquity which followed, and that a dark age may have interrupted these two eras of human history, meaning that some of their knowledge was never passed on to the rest of humanity. So, while the ancient Egyptian builders may have constructed the pyramids according to the layout of faraway stars, they had no idea they were doing this, since they were building upon the work of their long-departed ancestors. Nevertheless, it's likely that the ancient Egyptians interacted with this mysterious civilization on some level before they dispersed. So, will we find evidence of this buried within an as yet undiscovered pyramid, or are these secrets lost forever? And at number 1, the ticking clock. So we know that the Great Pyramids of Giza may have been deliberately built in a place that would survive a devastating world event. But might they also have been constructed to form a clock whose purpose is to count down to mankind's final days? That's what engineer Scott Crichton believes, as after analyzing the structure of the Giza pyramids, he's identified a circular clock arrangement within their layout which points to a series of alarms indicating disastrous events. According to Crichton, the Sphinx can be used as the calibrating point. The stars of Orion's belt are a timing mechanism, and the alarm is set for the point where the two Queen's pyramids intersect. Crichton's calculations indicate that from the sphere to the first mark on the clock spans a period of 666 years, which is pretty spooky in itself, and that if the Sphinx was originally built in 10,500 BC, the second date on the clock is 9,834 BC. The clock finishes at 2,460 BC, at which point Crichton surmises it must be reset, according to his interpretation of inscriptions found on the Egyptian dream steel stone. If this is true, then we have two alarm dates which occur in 3,216 and 4,944, with another one possibly coming in 2022. Nobody knows what is supposed to happen at this point, but whatever it is, it has occurred before. Some evidence points to the reappearance of the elusive Planet X, aka Nibiru, a hypothetical giant world within our solar system whose orbit is said to span around 10,000 years. So might this planet make itself known on one of these alarm dates? Did an ancient civilization experience the effects of this planet's movement on Earth? Clearly, our ancient relatives witnessed something of significance in the universe that they wanted us to know about, and according to the evidence they've left, it may affect us soon. But what this unknown event consists of is a question which can only be answered in two ways: by uncovering the secrets of our mysteriously advanced ancestors, or we simply wait and see. So, are you convinced that the ancient Egyptians had advanced knowledge, or are you still not sold? Well, perhaps you'll be more inclined to believe us if you knew that the folks who built giant triangles in the desert also had pregnancy tests and explosives. You can find out more about this in our bonus video, Baby Boom Boom, which you can watch on our Patreon page at patreon.com/strange mysteries. This can be accessed by becoming a Patreon and signing up for a bonus video access at $2 per month, which also